think we're good. I think we're live now. That was weird. Technical difficulties, Don Francho, but you can spin it however you want. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom. The stock market is crazy and chaotic. We made it our mission to help you guys own it. And I don't know what starting five you want to go with. You can go with this one or the last one, but what you got?
I have the last starting five. Last starting five is Sean Ethier, Savvy Money Show, Oliver Thorpe, Bako Twoon, and Parag Juneja. You guys are the starting five. Don't worry, I didn't lose you guys. So I made sure to get the information before we changed live streams. Thanks as always for showing up early.
It's all good because I completely missed the starting five yesterday.
Oh, did you?
I did. Rudy Brown didn't let me forget about it either.
Oh man. But we got some people showing up today. Mr. Alamat in the house, our resident clown. What up, boy? Welcome back. Welcome back, sir. You probably actually I'm not gonna start. What's up, man? So very interesting day in the market today. A lot of news, a lot of upgrades. Some stuff not doing well, some stuff doing really well. How'd you do so far in the market today?
It's been a bit of a seesaw. I mean, I was up as much as $2,000 today, and then I was down to pretty much flat, and now I'm up $1,000 today. So it's been all over the place, and it's kind of like been this thing for the last week or so, 2 weeks maybe, where it's just like up and down. It just doesn't. The market can't really pick a direction right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's moving because I was up 1.5%. Now I'm up almost 2.25% in like the last 5 minutes. I guess it might be pens moving a little bit more, but yeah, I actually my stuff's been doing fairly well this week, so it's been a good week for me. You know, there's definitely some conversations surrounding sort of economic factors.
Yeah.
And we've had those conversations and no need to really dig into that. But I don't know if you saw the news that was released, but it was basically all the Americans that quit their jobs. You know, I think it's going to be interesting, sort of the narrative that plays around in general. But we talk about oil at all-time highs. We think it's going to continue to roll. Looks like things may be coming back to hospitality in general. So that might bode well for some companies. But the one stock I think I would say would be the winner of the day would be MGM. So we're certainly going to get into those conversations. MGM had a great day. You can actually pull it up if you want to pull it up technically, but we'll get into it later on, guys, as far as just the overall casino stocks and discuss the factors. But did it hit 10%?
Huge day today. Yeah, it hit 10%. 48.94 is the high of the day. Right now it's currently up 9.93%. So it is rocking and rolling for sure.
Yeah. Brad said you only date strippers yesterday. What was that?
Somebody pulling your leg. That's what that
is. So actually total side story. You know, Bert Kreischer, the machine story.
No.
So you know who Bert Kreischer is, a comedian?
Vaguely.
He's like real close with Joe Rogan. So he's on there. You'd know him if you saw him.
Okay.
But he was who Van Wilder was made after. Like the movie Van Wilder was truly about him. And he really became on the map because of the story of The Machine. I can't believe you haven't seen this. Watch The Machine on YouTube. I'll send it to you. It's a skit he did, but 4 years ago he did it. It went viral. It's about how he studied abroad in Russia and ended up essentially joining the mob and robbing his classmates. It's like a crazy epic story. Apparently it's true. But anyways, I like most people know Bert Kreischer, know him for The Machine skit. They're making a movie off of it. So you won't be as excited because you don't know the skit, but it's crazy. And anyways, it said strippers. Apparently there's a story he never told where he actually went out with strippers during this whole Russia fiasco.
Apparently, Livraj has seen it. If you
Oh yeah, I mean,
to the comments.
You probably have seen it, just didn't realize. It's old.
Probably.
It's old. But anyways, we'll get into we'll get back to what we were talking about. Certainly, guys, we're going to talk about the casino stocks today. I want to have some conversations. I have some theories on it. Wanted to get your perspective on it. But there's certainly other stuff moving.
Yeah.
And we talked, let's start basically where we started with the watch list, which was Airbnb. And Airbnb had some good news. Cohen upgraded it. But I really wanted to specifically get your reaction to the news. And I'm not going to lead you, but what did you think about the news and what did you think about the subsequent mood today?
Yeah, no, it was no shit. It's about time everybody else is catching on this bandwagon. Price target was raised to $220 a share. And I was like, I've been saying it the whole damn time.
Yeah.
So it was good to get some validation from some of the quote unquote smart money. But yeah, man, it's just further supports my thesis on it. And I'm going to continue to hold on to Airbnb for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. There was really, I screenshot it to you and sent it this morning when I got it, but it was funny because it's pretty much what we've been saying. It was almost like the line out of the watch list.
Yeah.
And I actually just wanted to read just a quick line from it. But basically, and this was pre-market this morning, Cohen upgraded to outperform. And their reasoning was the street is underestimating 2022 bookings growth and that the increase in alternative lodging will be a permanent part of the travel landscape. And we've said this, Airbnb is just better than a hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality of it. There is a place for hotels, especially for business travel, I believe, which is an opportunity for Airbnb. I hope down the road, Airbnb is considering like a rewards program. But for the most part, I think the average person, like the Airbnb experience is truly like the experience of the city you're going to.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense. And I think that it's just going to be the option that people lean towards as far as wanting to go to other cities. And then you talk to sort of how they have a unique advantage because they have access to places where other hotels may not have access to.
Tell me if you've heard this before. What we found is that we believe the step up of alternative accommodations is going to be a permanent shift. You're not going to see a reversion back away from alternatives towards hotels during the recovery. Instead, you're going to see Airbnb and others in the space continue to show strength in the coming years. It's like, I mean, CNBC, come hire your boy, is all I'm saying.
Well, that's Cohen. Oh,
I know.
Yeah. CNBC. Yeah, I got you. Well, here's the problem. Nobody's willing to go out. I don't want to say this, but like these analysts and these companies that do the targets, they're so conservative. They don't want to take chances.
Yeah.
So it's like they've got to wait till there's just absolute certainty to state the obvious.
Right. It's
like Tesla crushes deliveries. Like Tesla's going to be the number one EV car company next year. Like, no shit. They're just so late to the game.
We're going to upgrade Tesla to $400 a share, even though it's already trading at $900. Like it's just a joke.
So anyways, Airbnb, that's good news for Airbnb, which we're both in it. You have calls in Airbnb or you just have shares?
I hold 100 shares of Airbnb.
Okay. So you have shares. I also have shares of Airbnb in my Fat Man Zoom account. It's one of the 3 speculative that I hold. And so I'm excited about that. I wanted to do things a little bit different today. I just wanted to get your general sentiments on some tickers. So I'm actually going to open it up to the Chaos crew as well. If you guys have a specific ticker you want Brad to check out, I'm only going to cherry pick a couple of them, and they're probably going to be things I've been thinking about, but go ahead and throw it in there. Give me a little bit of a justification why. Before I do that, technically, what are you looking at for Airbnb?
So for Airbnb, let me pull up the chart here. I have had my eye on 175 and it got rejected this morning and it's continued to try to retest this. So 175 is going to be the next resistance for this. You can see intraday, this is a 5-minute chart that it's come, it briefly was above 175 and I thought this was going to be the breakout. I went over this within the live stream with our level 3 folks and thought this was going to be the day that we saw this really kind of go crazy. It did not. It came back down and then has tried to retest this 175 area. So if we go back out to the daily chart, that's going to be the spot to beat for the next breakout on Airbnb. A couple months ago, well, not really a couple. Yeah, I guess this was back in, I guess a couple months ago now. I can't believe it. It was 2 months ago. It was down in the 140s, and I said that this was going to be potentially the nice breakout point up over the 50-day moving average. Obviously, it's been going crazy ever since then. So I think this next area is going to be around 175. That's going to be the spot to watch for me, Fat Man Zoom.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll certainly keep an eye on that, guys. Make sure you stay tuned because this is one of our highest conviction stocks. So it's certainly going to be a continuing topic.
Yeah.
And if you like it, make sure you like and subscribe. Give us that thumbs up. We would be greatly appreciate that. I'm going to shout out this comment, Ivan Broski. He sold his Tesla to buy more Facebook and Apple.
That was a chaos confession yesterday.
Oh, what he did, or you
did? He did. He made that.
Oh,
I did a chaos confessions yesterday on a Monday. After
that's
the
awesome.
That might stick.
I like it. I mean, I do like it. And I think we need more of those stories.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to talk about the winners, but I think we learn more from the ones that aren't the winners or the ones that maybe we second guess. But I wanted to bring up Tesla. Obviously, we still feel good about Facebook, and you might have to, it's a little bit of a waiting game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was watching before we came live. I was watching the Tesla video we did. Is Tesla ready for a breakout? We did it a week ago, and it stayed steady, and it still looks good for Tesla. Earnings next Wednesday. I was looking at the chart, and bro, I believe that our original prediction, our bold prediction at the beginning of the year was Tesla to 1,000.
Yep.
It's an outside shot, but I still think it has a shot to get to $1,000 a share. What say you?
We still got time on it. We got time on it still. I think there's plenty of opportunity here. I mean, we've talked about how Tesla has historically had really decent moves after positive sales numbers going into earnings. And we still got some time on that too. Earnings are going to be next week for Tesla. So that's going to be a big deal. And, I'm looking at the chart here, and this is, I mentioned this earlier in the week, that this is the most organized that I have seen Tesla in a very long time. And so if this continues to hold this ascending channel here and we get a breakout above 825, that could be something that we could see. We could see a potential move to $1,000, especially if we get good earnings and good guidance for next year. I think this could be really good for Tesla moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's an outside shot that we could get 900,000 deliveries for the year.
Yeah.
That's my revised prediction. And I believe at minimum 1.2 million deliveries for next year, I think will become the expectation, which I think just them stating that is going to be exciting for the stock. So certainly Q1, I feel really strongly of next year as far as hitting 1,000, but it maybe even before that. Now, tremendous volatility could happen, but as Brad said, since May, this has had great organization and has been very promising. And I don't know if you remember this, but it might have been back in May, maybe in June.
Yeah.
I had said, like, I'm ready for Tesla. I think people thought I was a little bit crazy in that, but it is looking very good. And it just feels like, just with this steady move up and the consolidation, it feels like it's going to have a move. So
we haven't seen Facebook have a face ripping type, or Tesla. We haven't seen Tesla have a face ripping type of move in a minute. I feel like it just feels like it's due.
Yeah.
It feels like it's due for something like that.
Yeah. Side note, speaking of Tesla, did you read this article that came out where Alaska sold its stake, like 75% of its stake in GameStop and bought, like, added to Tesla?
No.
I thought that was bold. I got to send it to you. But basically, they had 43,000 shares of GameStop.
Like the state of Alaska?
Yeah, the state of Alaska.
What?
Yeah, and they had it at $19 a share. So this was before.
Holy shit.
So they had a $19 a share. They made like $1.5 million, but I calculated it. If they would have like sold at the peak, they would have made like $20 million in their stake.
Oh my God.
Kudos to them. I love it. I love that like Alaska is going balls deep in like meme stocks.
Yeah.
So they added to their stake in Tesla. And I think we're going to see more analysts give bullish predictions. I think more analysts are going to, again, late to the game, are going to pick up the fact that the shortage, the chip shortage, the supply chain, while it's hurting everybody, is not hurting Tesla as much. So certainly stay tuned for that. I am as bullish as ever on Tesla. One thing I did want to share with you, you may or may not know this, but a lot of hype around China And one interesting thing that we need to know for the future, and I didn't realize that Tesla had said this, was out of their Shanghai factory at the beginning of their quarter, they prioritize Europe deliveries.
Yeah.
And so China's going to be lower, whereas at the end of the quarter, they prioritize Chinese deliveries. So that's kind of good knowing as far as like if there's a freak out as far as low numbers at the beginning of a quarter or whatnot. But penetration in China is really interesting. And I found a stat that I thought stood out to me. They just announced that I think it was like 50,000 EVs were delivered for China last month.
Yeah.
Great number, a record. Now, what was more interesting was just general EV demand. And so far, new cars, 20% of new cars were EVs. So EVs accounted for 20% of new cars. In 2020, just take a random guess. It's a lower number. What do you think EV penetration was for China?
What was the previous number?
So 20%. Currently.
I don't know.
Just throw a number out there. Under 20.
13%?
6%.
What?
Yeah.
6%? Holy shit.
So again, these are indicators that speak to EV demand that's going to continue. But on top of that, obviously Tesla, Shanghai factory benefits. It bodes well for them. So exciting stuff for Tesla.
That is some penetration.
Explosive penetration, says Ivan Broski. Jeff Panika, next stock I wanted to bring to you, Brad. This is one I've asked you about before, but I think it's still having a good day. That's ChargePoint.
Yes.
ChargePoint. Jeff Panika bought more ChargePoint. Hold up. You guys are ridiculous. ChargePoint. And you know, BLNK's one to look at as well. We both feel bullish about that. But ChargePoint had been beaten down. Obviously, we're waiting on the infrastructure bill, but we feel really strong. I love charge station plays, and I feel like they're kind of underrated.
Yeah.
We don't talk about them enough. If you don't want to pick the winner of the EV race, why not just get a charging station? So anyways, I like ChargePoint, and I think it was a bit oversold. What are your thoughts around it technically and just the company as a whole?
I'm going to start with the company as a whole real quick, and I'll say that what's the old adage about the gold rush, right?
Yeah.
The people who were mining gold during the gold rush weren't the ones that were making the money. It was the companies that were selling the shovels.
Yep.
And that's what ChargePoint is.
Yep.
And so I think that this makes a lot of sense just from that perspective alone. If you look at the chart, though, it actually looks pretty good too. If you look at this trend, it's been obviously been downtrending. We've seen some lower highs and lower lows. It could potentially be starting to reverse here, and it'll be interesting to see what this looks like tomorrow. If we're up above this trend line tomorrow, then I think that we could be seeing a bit of a reversal for ChargePoint, and that would be if this closes above $20 a share.
Yeah.
Closes above $20 a share, I think that we're going to be in good shape, and then it starts to make its way towards that 50-day moving average at around 2140. So keep an eye on this one, because I do think that we could be in the middle of a breakout here, or at least the beginnings of a breakout. Sorry, and I think that I like the company in general. They're continuing to grow. They're continuing to expand, and I think this is just a beginning for companies like this.
Here's a company you've put on the watch list a couple times. I don't think we've talked about it on the channel too much. But we have, who was this that asked this question? Parag asked about LYV, Live Nation. And this is one I remember you being a fan of.
Yeah.
And this is one actually Mark Cuban was very bullish on when the market had actually tanked last year for COVID. But it's up 35% year to date. It seems like it's at that psychological resistance. You still bullish on Live Nation, and how much do you think this thing could continue to run?
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about stagflation a little bit today. And this kind of goes against the whole stagflation argument. Demand is still very much there. If we're in an environment where we're experiencing stagflation, then demand would not be present. And so I think that looking at what we've seen from live events, sporting events, you name it, people just want to be out doing stuff and spending money. The savings rate's still very high. People got money to spend. And so I think Live Nation is actually going to continue to roll here. You can take a look at the chart, and it actually looks pretty good. You can make the argument that's a little overbought, and rightfully so. So maybe this comes back to retest support around $94 a share, as it's sitting at $99.93 right now. But it looks like it could be flagging here as well on the daily chart. So there's potential for an even bigger breakout here. They had earnings last around 8.4, so we should expect earnings from them around the beginning of November. So this could very well run into that. I mean, I'm telling you, man, the demand for just going out and doing things and spending money on stuff, it just can't be overstated.
Especially live events. I mean, we're seeing record numbers at sporting events. And the same thing is going to be the case with concerts and shows, which I think are like sporting events. They're on a schedule, a season schedule, so they have to happen a certain day.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be a boom with concerts because there are concerts, there are shows, but I don't think it's come back fully yet. And we've already seen some cancellations.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more strict. I think we see just a rush of concerts and artists going out, and I think they're going to see other artists are going to see the money, and there's going to be just a boom. And I think next year is going to be that boom, and I think it's going to be a banner year for that. Aramark,
yeah,
is one I like as far as like managing venues. It's the same story for them.
I'm dying to go to the Elton John final farewell tour.
I didn't even know he had a farewell tour.
He's got a farewell tour coming up over the next 18 months. He's not coming to Baltimore, unfortunately, so I got to find a place to go. I think it might be Charlotte, but
okay.
Just case in point, I'm dying to go into something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's people are just itching to just have those experiences again. So definitely keep an eye on that. Here's one that's not sexy, but I'm glad it got brought. It's AT&T, ticker symbol T. A long-term dividend buy here at $25.39. Ivan's in it, still holding his shares. I read on Alpha that it'll still have a 5.7 dividend after discovery thing is finalized.
Yeah, this has been tough, man, only because we look at the chart and it just continues to come down. I think that we have some more to go. Obviously, a dividend aristocrat, so if you're in it, more than likely you're in it for the dividend. So as this continues to come down, theoretically, the dividend yield should go up. So I don't know if I'd be too concerned about it, but at some point, AT&T is going to be a solid buy or one to add to. I just don't know if it's going to be now. I think I'd rather own Verizon, even though that hasn't done all that great either. But I like Verizon over AT&T only because they're crushing it in the 5G game. And I don't think you've been hearing a lot of talk about 5G, just being something that revolutionizes the way that we do things digitally. And it's just another one of those things that can't be overstated. I have a 5G phone. I'm sure a lot of you guys do now. And it's incredible. I mean, I did a live stream last week with just my phone. You guys wouldn't even have known that I was using my phone. And it's just because the incredible speed that 5G provides, it's wild. So while I think that there could be some more rough waters ahead for stocks like Verizon and AT&T, I do think at some point very soon, it'll be worth buying because this is extremely oversold. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, last year everybody was talking about 5G, and we've heard crickets really about that as well. So I do agree with you as far as 5G is concerned. It's going to be, hopefully next year, it's going to be one of the headlines and one of the main conversations. And so you'll see Verizon, AT&T. I would agree. Like, you're probably going to see Verizon outperform. I think you just pick whichever one you like better and go with it. If you're an AT&T person, buy AT&T. AT&T yield is better because the price is lower. So AT&T's yield is 8%.
Yeah. I mean, Goldman Sachs downgraded it, and that's really what's kind of like accelerating the sell off, which I think is total bullshit. They downgraded Airbnb to $132 a share, and now look where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, take advantage of it. Look at the overreaction, and I think that you'll be just fine as long as you got the patience for stocks like this. We've talked about this. Cyclicals and value stocks are going to be the ones to own over the next 12 to 18 months at least, and these two fall right into that category.
I think the one thing that benefits dividend aristocrats and high yield dividends is going to benefit them moving forward is the market. Everybody talks about like last year was an anomaly, and I think people are going to realize, the challenges of the market. It's not just going to be throw a dart at any stock and it does well.
Right.
So I think in that situation where it gets more challenging, certainty such as an 8% dividend yield becomes incredibly attractive, because you're like, well, I'm not, my account's not doubling or going up 50% as it did last year. And so that's when 8% becomes very lucrative. So I think that also works in their favor a bit. If you're just willing to set it in long term, it should be fine. I doubt either one of those companies are going to go anywhere. A new company that, not new to us, but a newer company comparatively to those that I'm in selfishly, I wanted to talk about was Palantir.
Yeah.
And I just want to get your sentiments on it, because Palantir, give you the timeline. So Kathy Wood's a huge bull on Palantir. She's been scooping it up on dips. Palantir, I was in it before, had a nice little run up, went back down below $20. And then I looked to re-enter it. It lost. They're potentially losing a contract, but they gained a huge contract with the U.S. Army about a week ago. On that news, after hours, it went up nearly 15%, and it pretty much gave all of that back. However, it seems like it's settling out at where it was before the news. So to you, I just wanted to get your perspective on it. What are your sentiments towards Palantir? And technically, do you think we see that move up again, or was that just a fake out?
I think we could see it move up again. I mean, we're looking at this right now, and it's come down close to its support around 23, and it's been holding that really well. Today it closed at 23.69. And I think we've always been monitoring this $25 area as resistance. Just can't seem to hold up above that. Obviously, it did really well on the news regarding the Army. And it's just going to take some patience. I don't think this stock is overvalued by a long shot. I think there's definitely some opportunity here, but there may be continued to be bumpy rides here. One of the big reasons why it had some significant pullbacks was that 10-year yield, which ran up around a 1.6, is sitting around 1.6 now. And so we've talked about this. The stocks that have high flying valuations from a PE standpoint might suffer a little bit on an increase in the 10-year. That 10-year actually closed down a little bit today at 158, but it's still going to continue to move up. So that's the only headwind that I see sitting in the way of Palantir's stock. But they continue to crush it, especially in the commercial side of things. I think they'll do fine.
Awesome. I got one more stock, and then we're going to get into the topic of the day, which are the sports betting and the casino stocks.
Yeah.
That's Sam Adams. So Sam Adams, I got leaps into Sam Adams. And, here's my thesis surrounding Sam Adams is I feel comfortable with it long term. I got leaps out to 2023. I also feel like the Seltzer news where they basically laid an egg as far as Seltzer was concerned, gave a lot of market share back.
Yep.
I thought it was just a little bit overdone, and I think it's on to the next thing. I don't think it's about them regaining Seltzer. I think it's about what they're doing moving forward. I felt like now was a good time to get into it. What are your thoughts when you look at Sam Adams on the chart?
It's insane. It's down over 65% from its highs. And
that's wild.
I think that getting leaps on this probably makes the most sense because we don't necessarily know exactly where the bottom is going to be. But if you got something that's that far out, I think that you'll be in good shape. And Boston Beer Company is not going anywhere. I think that they'll be just fine. And we're coming into a season in which you could make the argument that demand is going to be higher for alcoholic beverages, football games, holiday seasons, all that good stuff. So I think they'll be just fine. And as far as the Seltzer thing goes, they'll figure that out too. They're a company that's been around for a long time. I don't imagine that these are going to be issues that are have long-term implications, and they'll be on the right side of this at some point. I'd watch for a move up above 570. I think that's what's going to signal a potential reversal on this, which is the 50-day moving average as well, and then again around 591. So if it starts to make its way up above there, we could make the argument then that it's possibly turning the corner. And so I like Sam here.
Yeah, it's one that I was like, saw a little bit of a bump. But I think the biggest thing is just a return to hospitality. I think that's going to be a huge benefit for Boston Beer. And this is really them going into their high season.
Right.
The fall, winter is actually when Boston Beer, Sam Adams in particular, performs really well. So
agreed.
Excited to see how that goes, and really excited to put Mr. Alamat in timeout. And the only reason I'm doing that is because it's just clearly he's trolling everybody, and so I think it's a bit of a distraction. But later, clown. How long does his timeout last?
I don't know.
When was the last time you got put into timeout?
When was the last time I got put in timeout? I was a good kid. I didn't go in.
Yeah, I don't remember. All right, market is closed. Why don't you just give a little rundown real quick, and then we'll get into the main topic.
Yeah. So another seesaw kind of day for the markets. Everything everything closed red, with the exception of crude oil, which was barely green. S&P was down around 0.25%. The Dow was down around 3.3%. NASDAQ closed around 0.1%, which is good for about 20 points. So yes, it was red, but it was practically flat. I mean, nothing really moved today. It was just an up and down, another kind of day like that. And a lot of this is kind of, again, just focus around inflation or stagflation. People are throwing that word around now. And so I think there's just so much that people are trying to be worried about that there's really nothing to be worried about. And until everybody gets their head out of their ass for right now, it's just going to be one of those things you just have to weather this BS. And then once earnings get through, and I think that's what really is going to open a lot of eyes. Definitely stock picking is going to be the thing that we're going to have to be focused on and getting into the right stuff, right? Because companies like Levi saw the supply chain issues and actually acted accordingly ahead of time. The companies that didn't see this coming are going to be the ones that probably suffer this quarter. But I would imagine that regardless of what we see during this quarter, I think that we're still set up for a really nice end of the year.
Awesome.
I actually did have like some questions. I don't know if you want to get into it before our main topic of the day or not, but I just have one.
Yeah, you can have a question. I had an awesome transition though.
Oh,
I was going to say, what else is looking strong going into the end of the year on casino stocks? No, go ahead.
What do you think? What stock do you think? And we'll just go big board, large caps.
Yeah.
What stock do you think is the most at risk this earnings season?
Oh, that's a good question. Which stock is most at risk this earnings season?
Like if you were holding it right now, how nervous would you be on said stock?
I mean, I feel like you probably have an idea of a stock.
I have a couple, but
you say it just because I probably need to think on this a little bit.
Mine's Amazon. And I think Amazon's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
But we talked about supply chain issues and some of the shipping backups and that sort of thing and labor shortages. And this could be something that ends up biting them. We saw that last quarter, they actually missed earnings, which was a big deal. They actually lowered their guidance, which wasn't great. So I think that Amazon could be the biggest risk right now. But obviously they have so much other stuff going for them. It's not just about the e-commerce side, but everybody likes to focus on that. But they have the content side of things. They have they're essentially a cloud company, and people just kind of fail to realize that. But I think that it's still going to be the focus is the e-commerce side of things and some of the struggles that they've been having. So from the large cap stocks, it's particularly in tech, I think Amazon's probably at greatest risk this upcoming earnings season.
Yeah, I mean, the one stock that came to mind is actually a Fat Man Zoom special, and that's Facebook. And I only say that not because I don't think the stock's going to be fine long term, and I don't think it's undervalued, because I think those things are true.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like I think probably I just wonder if it's time to move on from Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh.
Like I don't know what value. I feel like he could bring more bad than good. And so, and I'm not sure exactly how much he's driving the vision of the company. I know he's very bullish on metaverse, but the reality is, there's a lot of controversy surrounding Facebook. It's like, it just doesn't really get the love. And then when you think about the social platforms, it gets a lot of heat as well, as far as you think about generally Facebook. So I like the direction they're going. I like what they're doing as far as the advertising model. But I also think that, I don't know, there's just something about like it feels like it's a target right now. And so I worry that any just little bit of bad news in the short term is going to be a reason for analysts just to dog on it. So from a short-term perspective, I would be worried about Facebook, but I'm talking about both sides of my mouth because I actually think it's like a buy, like at some point it's going to be a buy because this is going to turn around. So this seems like an opportunity, but I would be most worried about Facebook.
That's interesting. It's an interesting answer. I think ones that are least risk are ones like Google and Microsoft.
Yeah. I think Google could become the most, like it has probably the best chance of becoming the most valuable stock, to dethroning Apple.
Yeah. We look at Google right now.
Did you hear that or did you just skim over that? Because I feel like that was a hot take.
I mean, I thought that was a hot take.
Okay.
I mean, and I'm trying. I agree with you. I think that Google, because of the power they have, but then also just in this quarter in and of itself, it could be a company that doesn't have to worry about things like supply chains.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument for Microsoft as well. Microsoft has one tangible product, and that's the Surface, but nobody really cares what they do in Surface sales. So those two, I think, could end up being ones that actually do well during earnings because of the reopening, businesses coming back, all that good stuff. But to your point, like Google, they just have so much pricing power right now, and I think that that's what one of their biggest advantages are.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's definitely one I'm going to keep thinking about as well. But Freddie sent me an article today on Instagram about the metaverse, and I'm just like, I just wonder who holds that vision, because it's a great vision. Like, you think about Oculus and virtual reality, and you think about what, where everything's going as far as augmented reality and just the world in general. Like, Facebook is, as a platform, is kind of, I don't want to say it's dying, but it's like the older generation.
Yeah.
Right. But could that evolve into social media is like a world you live in, like a Sims? Like, that's what metaverse is supposed to be. And so it seems like Facebook is trying to lead the charge on that. I don't know if that's Zuckerberg's brainchild, because the reality is I'm not sure what any of Zuckerberg's brainchild is, because he had partners in this whole thing. And so, I'm not trying to diminish him in general, but when you think about like leaders, even like obviously Elon Musk comes to mind. We have a lot of respect for Chamath, Kathy Wood, Tim Cook, even Mark Cuban, Jeff Bezos, right? Like, you list all those people. There's just something different about Zuckerberg. I don't know what. It's just something different about the guy.
Yeah.
If he was a robot, I wouldn't be surprised about that.
I wouldn't be surprised about that either. Like, just like Stepford wife type of mentality. With that.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like, somebody was on CNBC, was it yesterday, the day before, talking about the metaverse and talking about how, being outside is highly overrated, quoting Ready Player One. And I don't know, man. Like, I get the concept. I just hate the idea of like everybody spending their time indoors. Like, I love being outside, and then that thing, it just, you kind of like see this scary slippery slope where everybody's just hanging inside, plugged in, and like like that's how they spend their life. And that's just, it's scary to me.
Well, you could look at it that way, but I think also you can look at the other argument, which is gaming used to be so passive. And like, if you go the Oculus, you can like work out with it. And
right.
The sedentary aspect of historical, like gaming in general, I don't know, like, it will be interesting to see how it works out. But I also think there's some great minds that are factoring all that into the equation as well.
That's true. I mean, when I went out to visit Don Fran from the Don Fran show, shout out Don Fran, we played some VR, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. And I was sweating my ass off.
Well, and who's to say they can't integrate it with the outside, right?
Yeah.
Like,
true. Yeah.
I'm just spitballing here, but like, you could almost do like, let's say you like the outdoors. So let's say you go to the lake and you put it on, and almost you have like a duck hunt, right? Like, like you see like you can see the lake, you can see everything in reality, in real life, but then with the headset, you can also see like these ducks and you can like play games and, there's a lot of opportunities that are beyond just what we historically think about as far as traditional, like stay at home gaming experience or whatever that is.
Yeah. I just got to shout out Claudia here. She says, she made a comment about we old timers on Facebook. I had a conversation with Claudia yesterday and I gave her some really solid relationships advice. And I know that you're going to want to comment on this. I told her that she needs, I don't even remember how this came up, but I told her that she needed to be, that's what it was. One of her confessions yesterday was that she made a trade while she was cuddling, I guess, with her significant other. And she's admitted that she was the little spoon. And I told her, I gave her solid advice that she needs to be the big spoon if she wants to be a keeper.
I'm not saying anything that's going to put me on public record.
I don't care. Oh, yeah. All right, fine. But I'm just saying, be the big spoon every once in a while and thank me later.
No. Well, no. You're saying thank you later because her significant other is going to be appreciative
of being a little spoon every once in a while.
What I'm saying about record has nothing. No. What I'm saying is,
she said she was the big spoon. Oh, okay. So then, yeah. I thought you said you were a little spoon. But anyways, go ahead. Continue.
There's my point is, like, as a man, you're supposed to always be the big spoon, but man, it does feel good to be in somebody's arms. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I think
all the men were in agreement yesterday.
No, it feels good. It feels safe.
It does.
And I think most guys' reactions are the exact same, especially like machismo guys. Like, they might be like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Get off me on the big spoon. But I guarantee if you pay attention, they held it for like 3 seconds, before they flipped out. They're like, what is this?
Also, Claudia, I don't know if you actually experienced this, and maybe some of the other ladies that are out there, or the men, whatever. It's 2021. That are normally the little spoons, but then become the big spoon. How appreciative they become when their left or right arm falls asleep.
Yeah.
And their neck gets all kinked up and everything else.
So, yeah, there's definitely a strategy behind it.
Yeah.
Normally we're done, but we're going to get this topic in.
We're going to do it.
It's a good topic.
Yes.
All right. As I said, one of the sectors that we're incredibly bullish on, and that's online sports betting. And this isn't even about online sports betting, I don't think. I think the conclusion actually may be that this is more about casinos, but nonetheless, the conversation is going to start with MGM, and then we're going to go kind of run the gamut of the actual stocks that we'll look at. But MGM got an upgrade by Credit Suisse today, and basically they increased their price target. So their price target, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was $68 from $33. Which is a substantial increase. And they noted a couple things.
Yeah.
Basically, they like their transactions this year. So they've liquidated some positions to free up some cash. They've really just kind of trimmed the fat on their business and just really are focusing on casinos, specifically Las Vegas. They still have Macau, but it's clear their bread and butter is going to be Las Vegas. They were part owners in City Center. They bought the remaining 50% stake, and that was a huge move towards their exposure in Las Vegas. They dominate Las Vegas. They will continue to do it. And by all accounts, we talked about this, Las Vegas is seeing incredible demand, and the conventions aren't even back. So MGM gets this upgrade. We believe in everything they're saying.
Yeah.
So this isn't really a surprise by us. And I should also mention that they're killing it on the BetMGM front. I think it's pretty surprising their performance so early on.
They are, yeah.
So I think they're kind of hitting on all cylinders right now, but they go off, right? 10% up. What did they end up on the day?
They ended up on the day 9.61%.
Okay, so nearly 10%. But the other stocks did well. And this is why I'm thinking this is more brick and mortar stock, casino stocks, because DraftKings had like a slightly green day, but Penn had a really good day.
Yep.
Wynn had a really good day, which is starting to come back. By the way, Penn outperformed Wynn, so
DraftKings
still worked out in your favor.
DraftKings got upgraded as well, I think, today.
Did it?
Yeah.
But I think it was only up like 0.5% though, right?
Yeah.
So I think I think casino stocks, brick and mortar stocks have to be the way to go. But I just wanted to kind of bring that to the forefront. And this kind of feels like the beginning of Main Street figuring out everything we've thought as far as that's concerned.
Look, we said at the beginning of the year, I'm sorry, the end of 2020, that we thought that the gaming industry was going to be one of the biggest sectors in the market. Not the biggest yet, but it's getting there. It's gaining a lot of traction. And, we're seeing upgrades all over the place. Penn also got upgraded by another firm to $107 a share, which we think it goes much higher than that. But nevertheless, people are taking notice, especially as much as they've gotten beaten down. Huge corrections on all of these. And as we get, still the number one factor here is going to be COVID. And as we start to see fears subside as far as the Delta variant is concerned, because that's what kind of wreaked havoc over the summer and kind of kept a lot of these stocks down. If we start to see this trend continue with drop-offs in cases, more vaccinations, and we start to catch up to Europe as far as that's concerned, then I think that these types of stocks, these are the ones that we've talked about, the quote-unquote reopening stocks or the epicenter stocks, they're all going to continue to do well. I mean, we love Penn, the largest regional casino in the country. But yeah, to your point too, the sports betting side is still going to be monstrous. And Maryland, I believe they were vying to have sports betting legal before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Maryland.
And I think now's the time, people, figure out which stock is your stock, which company is your company. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like which one it is. I think they all do well. I personally, though, want ones that have a hedge, which is brick and mortar casinos. So Penn National is the one for us, but Fat Man Zoom has MGM in it. MGM, I've been hella bullish on MGM. And so it doesn't really matter because you can make the argument for Wynn coming back, which we feel like is a little bit was oversold. So there's just opportunities there. But when you look at viewership of football, which is going to be a huge factor in this whole in the whole movement in this last quarter and going into the first quarter of next year with the Super Bowl, we're seeing record viewership. We're seeing awesome viewership and attendance. And so you've got to believe just with common sense that we're going to see the same thing as far as the sports betting is concerned, because if you have more people viewing, you're going to have more people betting. But what bodes well for football is that it's kind of wide open. The teams that should be doing well are doing well. So you want Tampa Bay, Tom Brady to do well. That bodes well.
Lamar Jackson is just a blockbuster show.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, but like Kansas City Chiefs need to be good for the NFL. Some would argue like Seattle is in a little bit of a tough spot. But you got the storylines that are working out.
The Rams and the Chargers, both in LA.
I was just going to mention, the Rams, Matthew Stafford, like all these storylines bode really well for them. And so I think we're going to see record numbers as well on top of new markets coming into play. So there's going to come a time where you're going to look back and wish you could get this stock at X price. I think they're all going to move. I think they're all going to go up. And I think that it's going to, while it might be frustrating right now, I think it's going to be here before we know it.
I mean, look at Penn. It's getting ready to coil itself up at this point. I think it's been sideways essentially since for the last month. It's been sideways. We had a little bit of a pop going up to $86 at one point. And I think that this does continue to rock and roll. It's going to be one of those things where everybody else is going to be chasing it, and we're going to be laughing all the way to the bank because we just we've been sitting in it for so long when we're not chasing it. You just don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
The same thing goes for energy, right? I mean, energy's gone crazy and we've been sitting in it and kind of enduring the pain. At some point, everybody's going to continue chasing that as well. I mean, you're experiencing that in your marathon oil trade too. So like a lot of these stocks that have kind of been moving sideways and have been unsexy and boring are all of a sudden going to more than likely going to become sexy leading into the end of the year and maybe the beginning of next as well.
Yeah. So there you guys have it. Let us know which stock is your casino stock that you love. certainly Penn, MGM, going to be ones that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. We're both in Penn. I have MGM in my long-term investing account, so make sure you throw that in the chat and let us know. That is all I got.
Ross Goober, a.k.a. Ross Gerber, took a cheap shot at Penn today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he tweeted out that MGM was up 100% over the last year, and Penn is not. I guess citing the clear winner, which is hilarious because if you go back, I mean, anybody can make that spin. You go back 18 months and Penn's up 2,500% where it's at right now.
Yeah.
not the 140. So he's just taking cheap shots at Dave Portnoy.
Well, it sounds like he's just trying to get attention from Portnoy,
always,
which gets you exposure.
He's always trying to get attention.
Yeah. He's like the Mr. Alamat, right? Like you're just saying dumb shit just to try to get attention.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got, man.
That's going to do it for us, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Earnings season officially will kick off tomorrow. We got Delta reporting, Morgan Stanley reports in the morning as well, and then we'll give some more reactions to some of the afternoon earnings. So it's going to start to really get exciting this week. It's going to be a little bit on the boring side, but next week it's going to be huge. We got a lot of the big tech stocks also reporting. So make sure you guys stick around, and we'll be giving some of our insights as to what we expect moving forward, especially as we start to hear some of these earnings come in. So be sure to tune in tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time as we go live. Also, if you enjoyed today's show, please consider hitting that thumbs up as well and subscribing to the channel. We would love to have you guys' support in that form and fashion. Batman Zoom, anything else?
That's all. See you guys tomorrow.
See you guys. Bye. That was a weak sauce. Bye.